Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar series from Squibbler on writing. We have tips for you for selling your writing tonight. We'll be talking about how to find your comps, your comparable titles, and writing a short sentence that's called the elevator pitch. So that's what we'll be looking at in this session. I'm your host, Moxie Anderson, and I'm delighted to talk to you about these things. Okay, so in this webinar, what you're going to learn is what a comp is and then how to find them as well. You'll learn what an elevator pitch is, and then you'll learn how to write an elevator pitch with comps for your project. The two tend to go together when you're pitching your works to publishing houses, to agents, or to movie studios. So what are comps? A comp it's short for a comparable title. It's something that's already been published, if it's a book, or it's been developed for the screen already, if it's a movie or a screenplay. What comps do is that they tell agents and publishers and production companies who the audience is for your work and what genre it is. So it gives them an idea of what it is that they're going to look at when you send it to them. Comps also let agents, producers, and publishers know there is value in your work. So you want to make sure that you pick things that already have a good track record, that have made money, and that have a strong marketing record behind them. Some things to ask yourself just when you get ready to write your comps and you're thinking about your finished project, your book or your screenplay or your nonfiction work. Some things to think about is, would people who liked this movie or this book also like my script, my novel, my memoir, self-help book, etc.? In other words, who is your audience? To whom are you writing? It's important to kind of get this idea in your head of who you are writing for. You also want to know what genre your book or script is falling under. So that's something to keep in mind. Are you writing science fiction? Are you writing drama? Are you writing romance? It's important to know that, because you'll have to use that word in your pitch as well. And then another thing to think about is, what are the popular titles in that same genre? So you may have to do a little bit of research here, do a little bit of digging and see what other popular books there are in the same genre that you're working in. And that's going to help you to develop your pitch when you send it off. So there are several places to look for comps. I'm going to show you how that works briefly. One place is Goodreads. So I'm going to exit this presentation for just a second, and I'll show you what this looks like. When you go to Goodreads, this is a great place to see what's popular in the world today, and it's goodreads.com. It's also a good place to curate your own reading lists and leave comments. But you can see here that they have lists. They have featured lists. Here they have best cozy mystery series, best gothic books of all time, best books of the decade. You can look for the best romance books. You can look for the best mystery books. Here even they have best cozy mystery. Cozy mysteries are sort of based on Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie type writing. So this is something that will help you to look for books that are similar to yours. I highly recommend that. If you're writing for movies, you might look at IMDb. You'll go up here to the menu, and you can look at the top 150 movies. You can look at the top horror, the top science fiction. You can browse movies by genre, and that's going to help you get some comparable titles as well for movies. So both of those are really good resources to use when you're looking and doing some research for your comps. Amazon also, and Barnes & Noble online, they have lists of top selling books as well. You can also go to your a solid newspaper source like the New York Times. They have a section called Let Us Help You Find Your Next Book, which you can put in what you're looking for there, the genre you're looking for, and then you'll find what's selling in that genre. You can look at the Times UK if you're in the UK and you're more familiar with that newspaper. They have a book section too with bestseller lists. You can look at Publishers Weekly. That's all for books. And these are all free resources that are available to you through the internet. For screenplays, I just showed you IMDb. That's a good free resource. There are also digital resources that are free. The Hollywood Reporter is very good to see what's popular, what people are buying as far as production companies, and then Variety as well. They'll tell you about upcoming films, what's selling, what's popular at the moment. Obviously, you can also use search engines as tools, but I'm mentioning this because there's a bit of a caveat. You want to make sure that when you are searching for top 10 lists, make sure that your information is current, since reader and viewer tastes change over time. So that's sort of important. There are trends in writing, so you don't want to be looking up things that are going to show you the top lists from the 1970s, because things have changed. So some ways to do that in your search engine is, what are the top 10 best-selling memoirs, for example, from 2023? What are the top crime movies in the last decade? What are some of the best young fantasy novels from 2020 to the present? And so this is going to give you some resources and some lists of comps that you can use when you're coming up with your pitch to write. So now, once you've found your comps, let's say that you're writing a romance and you found the top selling romances from the last 10 years, and you've figured out where your book fits in there. What do you do with it? So what you're going to do is write one sentence referring to your comps, so that your agents, producers, readers, viewers, and publishers, anyone that you're sending your work out to, will have an idea about three things. They're going to know the genre that you're writing in. They'll kind of know what kind of tone to expect, and they'll know the audience for the work. Right? They'll get an expectation. So I'm pretending in my example here that I've written a young adult novel called Elevation. And if I were going to do that, I would say something like, at 90,000 words, Elevation is a young adult dystopian science fiction work likely to appeal to readers of series like The Hunger Games and Divergent. So those comps in there, The Hunger Games and Divergent, tell these people that I'm sending my work to what they can expect when they read this. And they can automatically think of the same kind of audience that would be interested in your book or your screenplay. So that's the first part of writing your pitch, is to find your comps and to have that, and make sure that you're describing things that are similar. The length of your book is important as well, and that you know the genre and the audience for this. The second sentence that you're going to be writing is what's called the elevator pitch if you're writing a book, and a log line if you're writing a screenplay or a play. So an elevator pitch is just a brief, usually 1 to 2 sentence summary of your book or script. The name comes from the brief time that you would be able to talk about your idea to another person, about the length of an elevator ride. So it's assuming that you don't have long to talk to someone, and you might lose their interest very quickly. So you have to have a really well-written, tight description of your work, usually just 1 to 2 sentences. A log line is similar. It's usually 1 sentence, but this term is specific to the movie industry. And again, these are both brief summaries of the project that you're working on, and it gives your reader an idea immediately of what your plot is. So, and when you're writing the fiction elevator pitch, there are several parts to it. You want to talk about genre, at least hint at it. You don't have to explicitly say this is a crime drama about, etc. But at least when your reader finishes reading your pitch, they should know which genre you're working in. You should mention your protagonist or protagonists if there's more than one. You need to mention the stakes. It's very important. Why, what's important in this work of fiction? Why would people be interested in reading it? And then also mention the goal or obstacle. So I picked Jaws because it was both a novel and it's also been a successful screenplay and film. So I picked this log line off of IMDb. So you can look on IMDb. They have great resources like this. When a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Cape Cod, it's up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. So now we know the genre. We know when there's a killer shark, it's probably going to be horror or drama. We know our protagonists, even if we don't know them by name. We know we have a sheriff, a marine biologist, and a seafarer. We know the stakes. The killer shark is on the loose. And we know the obstacle. They have to get rid of this beast before it continues to kill people. So that's the short synopsis here from Jaws. And I'm going to go back to IMDb to show you how to find those briefly, because they're great for if you're writing books or if you're writing screenplays. So I'll go back to IMDb, go back to the home page. And what I'm going to do is type in Jaws, since I just used it. And then when you click on the movie, you'll see here underneath the description, it has this 1-line description, which is what you'll usually see for log lines for movies. on Netflix or on IMDb. These are all good examples of how to format your own elevator pitch. They're really, really useful. So I would recommend looking there if you want to see ways to write successful gripping ones, because these are successful. They've made it to film. So here's an example. Again, we'll take a look at the different parts just so you understand them. Again, that you have to know the genre hint. I've highlighted the protagonists in pink, the stakes in green, and then the goal or obstacle in blue. Again, I took this from IMDb. It's a great resource, no matter if you're writing fiction or screenplay. So the example is a cynical expatriate American cafe owner struggles to decide whether or not to help his former lover and her fugitive husband escape the Nazis in French Morocco. So our protagonist is the cynical expatriate American cafe owner. The goal or obstacle is to decide whether or not to help, right? Whether he's going to help this couple. And the stakes are, of course, the Nazis have taken over this area. So these people are in danger. If he does not help them, they'll probably get caught and sent to a camp. So I do have some worksheets for you, a worksheet for you that will be in Discord, but this is what you'll see on the worksheet. It's going to give you some ideas how to use a formula to write this, to practice with. You don't have to use these, of course, but this is a good, if you really don't know where to start, it's a good practice for writing your pitch. So you put your book title or your script title. You don't have to put the genre, but if you feel like it's going to help you get to an end product, you can add genre about a protagonist who has to do what? What is the obstacle they have to come over or have to overcome? Only to find he or she must do what? What are they learning? We watch movies and we read books to see the hero learn something, to overcome something. So tell us what happens to the character in the process. There are many ways you can write this. Another one is when dramatic event happens to the protagonist, she has to achieve the goal and learn character improvement before stakes happen. So you can think of something like the Hunger Games, where when Katniss is selected or she volunteers to join the Hunger Games, she has to win the games and learn how to work with others before she loses her life, or when her life is in danger. So these are two formulas you can use to start formatting your own pitch. If you're writing nonfiction, I didn't forget about you. There are several parts to a nonfiction pitch as well. And these are extremely important when you're soliciting to agents or publishing companies. They want to know what the point of your book is. What's the theme to your nonfiction book? They also want to know a little bit about the audience or genre you have in mind. So you might want to look up some comps as well. What will your reader learn from this book? This is very important for a nonfiction book. You're writing it with a purpose in mind. And then the goal, what will readers gain once they have finished reading? I would say that last one is especially important if you're writing self-help, because they want to know that your self-help book is going to be something that readers are motivated to pick up because they want to learn something from it. So we'll take a look at how to do this. I picked The Glass Castle because it's both a movie and a memoir. Description: The Glass Castle is a remarkable memoir of resilience and redemption, and a revelatory look into a family at once deeply dysfunctional and uniquely vibrant. So we have our theme in red here. We know it's a memoir of resilience and redemption. So people who read this are going to learn about the power of resilience and redemption. What do we want people to learn? It's a revelatory look into a family, deeply dysfunctional and uniquely vibrant. Maybe we haven't lived a life like this, but we're learning something about families that go through struggles. The Walls family are very poor. And then the Walls children learn to take care of themselves. This is what the reader is going to learn from this. They fed, clothed, and protected one another and eventually found their way to New York as their parents followed them, choosing to be homeless even as their children prospered. The Glass Castle is truly astonishing, a memoir permeated by the intense love of a peculiar but loyal family. So the reader is going to learn about taking care of yourself, resilience, and loyalty in this memoir. So this is a really good model as well. And as I said, Goodreads is a good resource for you for nonfiction as well, because you'll have these short nonfiction elevator pitches as well. You can look at works that are similar to yours. So for a nonfiction formula, what you can do is the book title. You may want to mention the genre if it's a memoir, or if it's a self-help book, about the theme. That's very important to have the theme in there. That will help readers develop, understand, examine what is it that you hope the readers are going to do. And then your learning objective. What are they going to learn from your book? To understand what in the process? What are they going to understand? So this is a good formula if you're writing nonfiction. And again, you can start here and then tweak it to suit your needs. So I have created a comps and pitching worksheet for you where you're going to be able to put your genre. You can start looking up the books or screenplays that are good comps for you. You can start outlining for your screenplay or for fiction the genre, the protagonist, all those parts that you need. And then for nonfiction, you're going to have the theme, the audience you have in mind, what the readers will learn. And then there's a fiction prompt and a nonfiction prompt for you as well. So when we upload this webinar, we'll have this accompanying the webinar for you to use from Squibbler. Okay. Oh, let me go back. You can use this, but also your comps are going to be your first sentence, right? Let whoever you're sending this to know what you're sending them, right? Your comps will be your first sentence. That's why I have the comps here first, and then your elevator pitch or log line will be your second sentence in your pitch that you're creating. So once you have created your draft of your entire pitch with your comps and your elevator pitch or your log line, you can use Squibbler to revise your pitch. If you have a short pitch that you're happy with, you're going to edit it. You can put your pitch into a new document, create a new draft in Squibbler, and then use the Smart Writer to help you fine-tune it. You can ask it to make things sound more conflicting. You can edit the tone, as you know. You can increase the mood in there as well. You do want to take some things out, though. You don't want to use large words or jargon, even if you're writing nonfiction. You want to make sure that your pitch is easy to understand. So make sure that you don't have overly fancy words that are difficult for your reader, because we don't know who's going to be reading it. So we want to make sure that your message is getting through. You also want to go through and get rid of any unnecessary words. The idea is that whoever is reading this, if it's an agent, if it's a publisher, if it's a production company, they don't have much time and they may not read past your first paragraph. So you want to really grab them with your first two sentences. And one way to do that is to make sure you don't have unnecessary words. So try to eliminate unnecessary adverbs. Don't put too many adjectives. Avoid things like the passive voice. Make sure your writing is in the active voice. And then you can ask the Smart Writer to rewrite or rephrase your pitch. We have the rephrase option under rewrite. So you have several options to work with, several versions to work with. It's a really good way to use the tools that you have at your hand to edit your own work. So the last thing that you want to do before you send out your pitch or your comps is share your pitch. You can do that on Squibbler on Discord, or you can ask a friend to listen to your pitch. You're also welcome to come to our live Discord writing hour on Fridays to get feedback if you'd like to. Please, if you do post work or you're reading somebody else's work, just remember to be kind and helpful in your comments on Discord. We want to make sure we have a community that's helping each other out. So in this webinar, we have reviewed what a comp is and how to find them. We learned what an elevator pitch is. We learned how to write an elevator pitch with comps for your project. So now you're ready to get started on your own and work on your own pitch and get ready to send out your work. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a lovely day, and we will see you next time.